Bruno Fernandes. What happens when he eventually moves on and leaves Manchester United? Hi, I'm Wayne and welcome to Goals by the Numbers. Let's just get straight into it. So, Bruno Fernandes, he has been at Manchester United now for a number of seasons in what has been their worst period of the Premier League era. At times, it's felt like he has been a one-man wrecking crew, scoring goals, creating goals, flapping arms, because that's what he is known and derided for. Pundits who used to play at the club seem to be very up and down with their opinion of him. Sometimes it's great player, great attributes, great character, great attitude. Sometimes it's he's not the right kind of leader. Do we really want him at the club? And as Gary Neville once famously said, Fernandes wanted to get himself substituted against Liverpool, which, as a Man United fan or player, would be an absolute criminal thing to think. However, the numbers don't lie. And when we speak about today's match, being Manchester United versus Tottenham, again, Fernandes was at the heart of most of the things that were happening. So, in the first half, some of the football in the first 25 minutes was actually really good. And it actually made me think that the Europa League final between Manchester United and Tottenham was actually a bit of a joke. To be fair, that was a final. I mean, yes, both teams had a terrible season last year, but this game in the first 25 minutes actually looked like two teams who, dare I say, were trying to attack, trying to score goals. Manchester United were having quite a few good chances, but they all seemed to be outside of the box, where Spurs were trying to use intricate play to get in the box to have their chances. But again, 25 minutes in, nothing had happened. Unfortunately, no goals. At this point, enter Romero. Romero was sent off for the sixth time in his career at Tottenham Hotspur. Three of those sending offs actually being in the 23-24 season, or at least the year 2023. In a tackle where he had lost control of the ball, he absolutely nailed Casemiro on the ankle. And I don't know, it was a tackle he never should have made. He didn't have to make the tackle. But when you then think of that tackle and some of the comments he made during the week, then maybe it all kind of makes sense. But yeah, I did actually wonder if Casemiro had broken something the way he was rolling around. So back to Romero's comments. Romero made comments, or came out and made some comments about the board this week. The club aren't in a good place and have been struggling with injuries to various players. In fact, even Dominic Solanke, I think, has only come back and started playing in the last 2 games, I believe. Tottenham and their fans would have hoped that their captain would be, I guess, encouraging more than anything else and supportive of the situation. However, he pointed out that their current predicament was actually disgraceful. And I guess we all kind of would have wondered what Thomas Frank would have done about this. I don't know. Thomas Frank is a disciplinarian, so when he said it would be handled internally, I can only summarise that nothing was done. So there we go. Yeah, the game moved on. Tottenham were down to 10 men, which was a shame actually, because it would have been interesting to see where the match would have gone if it was 11 versus 11. Because like I said, Tottenham, they were doing all right. They weren't doing too bad. It was actually quite even. So after sending off, of course, Manchester United had the advantage. Enter Brian Mbeumo. So Mbeumo opened the scoring with a low corner came in from Bruno Fernandes, that man again, to Kobbie Mainoo. Now Mainoo had run round everybody, even into the goal line, back out the goal, and down the touchline. Fernandes laid the ball off to him, and then Mainoo made a first-time pass to the edge of the box where Mbeumo was standing, and he kind of directed the ball into the bottom corner. Now, the question I would have had is, if Spurs had Romero on the pitch, would someone have been there to man mark Mbeumo and ensure that didn't happen? Now we will never know. So after that, it was, oh my God, Romero. That was also the 15th set piece goal Manchester United scored this season, which leaves them second behind Arsenal in terms of their effectiveness from corners, set pieces, and so on and so forth. Then we enter halftime. So, Bruno Fernandes. We all know him as someone who scores goals and is the main creator for Manchester United. Fernandes, in fact, has an assist in each of the matches since Carrick has been in charge. But more than that, in the last 10 Premier League matches, Fernandes has 9 assists. This includes a 45-minute stint against Aston Villa where he actually came off the field injured. Looking at the last 5 seasons, Fernandes was the top assister in the last 3. And this is specifically for Premier League matches. He was joint top for 1 and actually came second to Paul Pogba in the 21-22 season. Pogba actually got 9 assists that season while starting 16 games versus the 35 that Fernandes had. And that actually worked out to being 15 matches of minutes worth of playing time from those 16 starts from Pogba. And Fernandes had 34.6 of minutes played. So it's like a massive gap and only 1 difference in assist. Interesting. Fernandes did actually get the highest number of assists when you consider all competitions that season, but that's not what we're focused on. We focus on the Premier League here. So 8, 10, and then 12 so far this season. So at 31 years old, what happens with Bruno Fernandes? When he eventually moves on or retires, or his physicality starts to dip and he's not able to move around so much to get himself into the positions to do what he does. Manchester United actually have a quite serious problem brewing, and they need to figure out how to solve it sooner rather than later. I think of Liverpool, and where they had Salah before, who used to get multiple goals, multiple assists. They've solved that by bringing in, or the plan was to bring in Wirtz and Isak. Isak is injured, but you've got Ekatike, but still, same thing. And change their main outlet from goals and assists to 2 other players to share the load. Whereas Manchester United, there isn't a player who can do the same role currently at the club. So that takes us on to the current candidates. So in terms of creativity, I guess the only options I can think of are as follows. We have Cunha and Mbeumo, Ahmad, and yes, dare I say, Mason Mount. With a quick look at the stats for each of them over the last 5 seasons, Cunha reached 7 in the 23-24 season. Now, 7 is not bad by any means, because remember, Eriksen and Bruno finished the season with 8. So, it's 1 less. Mbeumo did actually hit 10 in the 2021 season, but that was in the Championship. And between that season and this current season, he averaged 7. So Cunha 7 and Mbeumo 7. So again, the 2 of them could maybe replace the direct creativity from Fernandes. But I guess the question is, can they assist and continue the rate at which they're scoring goals? Who else do we have? Ahmad. Ahmad last season achieved 6 assists, while Mainu has 3 in his entire career in the Premier League. And that's 3 in 46 matches worth of playing time. And then lastly, we have Mason Mount. Mason Mount. So in the 21-22 season, he actually achieved 10 assists. And since then, he's had 2 in 4-3 seasons, and then the current one on top of that. So from this, I can tell, if you mention I don't sign someone to come in and replace Fernandes, it's going to have to fall to Mbeumo and Cunha. because there isn't really anyone else. Okay, so second half. The last time Manchester United beat Spurs, or Tottenham Hotspur, to keep it strictly 100, that was the match where Ronaldo didn't come on as a substitute and had walked down the touchline and down the tunnel and just left. So, at this point, the game wasn't over. It was only 1-0, and Spurs were kind of hanging in there. Vicario, through the amount of saves he made, actually did seem like he was really up for it. I do remember a bullet header stood out at the very end of the first half where Casemiro came steaming in, and Vicario was able to palm the ball away to safety. I don't know, sometimes I watch Vicario and think he's a bit underrated, because he seems to be saving everything sometimes. Back to the point. So Tottenham Hotspur hung on until the 80th minute, where a Delot cross was just overhead of Sesko and was shinned home by Fernandes, who was just outside of Sesko. And that made it 2-0 and kind of wrapped up the game at that point. Tottenham had started to make inroads in the second half, about 10 minutes before this, and Thomas Frank had made a triple substitution with an effort to try and, get something out of the game. And he had brought on Kolo Muani and Matthias Tell, two attacking players. But, as we know, sometimes Bruno Fernandes is just inevitable. If he isn't creating chances, he's scoring them. In fact, in his time in the Premier League so far, he's now achieved, from this match, 200 goal involvements for Manchester United. And in the same period of time, only Mohamed Salah has more. That win not only did it leave Manchester United on 44 points after 4 wins in a row, but this is also the first time this has happened since Ten Hag's early days. And Manchester United also now have 2 points more than they did in the entirety of last season. And there's still 13 more matches to play. So I guess, despite Amram being sacked and a widely held opinion about how terrible the football was, Carrick has only gained 12 points. And that 10 was the only difference that Amram had to make up to hit what he did last season. So, yeah, I do wonder in time if the perspective of Amram is going to change, but I don't know. Things move so fast, right? Someone new comes in, whatever was there before goes, and life just keeps rolling and moving on. So, do Manchester United have a ticking time bomb waiting for someone to actually come in and claim the crown and be the top creator within Manchester United, or are they going to have to just get Cunha and Mbeumo to make more of a conceited effort to supply more chances? I'm Wayne. This is Goals by the Numbers. I'll catch you in the next one.